We threw a $6,000 company-paid party because they forced us to work on a public holiday. It all started on Monday, June 13th, when I got an email from our VP, let's call her Bad VP. The message said my team had to work on July 4th, even though it was a federal holiday. I politely replied that this was normally a day off, and people already had plans. We work in IT, and like many in tech, we get thrown under the bus whenever leadership can get away with it. I kept the team informed and told them I was trying to resolve it. I also promised to make it right if their plans got disrupted. After 3 meetings, it was clear I was losing this battle. I escalated it to the CEO. With my direct manager's support, he's a family guy and wouldn't want anyone working on the 4th. But he was on vacation in the Bahamas until July 6th. His assistant said he'd review it when he returned. So, I told the team we'd work remotely and all calls would forward to my cell. Honestly, I expected almost no calls, especially since they asked me to notify clients that support would be available on July 4th. Of course, I didn't send that message. A couple of days later, I got another email. My team had to be physically in the office. They'd be checking badge scans to confirm attendance. I asked why. The answer: to make sure no one was playing video games on company time. For context, we usually work from home 2/3 of the time, and gaming during downtime is normal. I went straight to Bad VP's office. After losing the argument badly, she said, "You're IT people, none of you have a personal life anyway." I reported this to my VP, who told me, "I'll deal with it after the 4th. In the meantime, get creative." When this VP says get creative, he means, let's throw a little corporate rebellion. I asked Bad VP if she'd mind us having an office party that day. She said she didn't care, as long as calls were answered. She even told me to use my new corporate card for it. Go wild. Tip: never tell me to go wild. By Tuesday, June 21st, I'd warned the team and asked who had plans. 2 people did fireworks and family barbecue. The rest were planning casual get-togethers. I emailed my VP and Bad VP, team would be on duty until 8 p.m., but I'd host a party to make up for the ruined plans. Bad VP replied, "Thank you for your understanding. I'd expect a party too. Go wild. No alcohol or fireworks on company property though." Now about our office. IT had recently moved to its own smaller building. We had a gaming room, gym, and a full, non-alcoholic, bar. Outside, there's a large deck bordering county land. Cross a footbridge, and you're technically off company property. I started making calls. On June 25th, I told the team, bring family and friends. No one had to bring food, everything would be provided. I promised a great meal and a good time. Alcohol wasn't allowed, but that was the only rule. Fast forward to July 4th. We got exactly 0 legitimate calls. Bad VP called 7 times, just her. The rest of us played video games and watched movies. At 6 p.m., we served food. People expected hot dogs and burgers. Instead, they got smoked brisket, pork ribs, sausage, turkey, potato salad, baked beans, scalloped potatoes, pizza from 2 top places in Dallas, amazing burgers and German sausages, 4 kinds of pie, cookies, cakes, and fudge. Friends and family arrived around 6 p.m. Some brought alcohol but agreed to leave it in their cars. Everyone was happy. Picture this, huge crowd outside, enjoying the evening. Kids played with sparklers and threw firecrackers into the stream, which is only 12 inches deep. My VP brought water balloons for the kids. Around 8:30 p.m., people wanted bigger fireworks. Our IT VP suggested moving the show across the bridge onto county land. We set up a platform and lit off fireworks for about an hour. By 10 p.m., folks started heading home with plenty of leftovers. We officially clocked out at 8 p.m., but no one left before 10:30. At 7:50 p.m., Bad VP called again. I told her, honestly, you're the only person who's called today. We're out back enjoying the July 4th party. She responded, no alcohol or fireworks on company property. I don't care. Half the food was eaten, the rest was sent home with people. A small crew stayed to clean up. My VP asked, how much did this cost? I just gave him a look. He laughed. Tuesday morning, I filed my expense report. It made its way to Bad VP and the CEO. Official policy now states that any expense over $4,000 requires VP approval and must be reported to finance. Our party cost over $6,000. Biggest expense? The barbecue. I ordered from a top Dallas restaurant where I'm friends with the owner. It's the best barbecue I've ever had. Desserts came from a boutique bakery. Sodas, 10 cases in total. Pizzas from 2 places. Burgers from a fantastic caterer. He even brought German sausages himself. CEO's reaction. He was furious, not about the money, but about the fact that IT was the only team forced to work that day. When I showed him the call logs, 0 actual support calls, he lost it. He sent an angry company-wide email about work-life balance and respecting holidays. Some folks thought I'd get in trouble. Instead, Bad VP got a formal reprimand and sent me an apology email. I forwarded it to the team with a note, "Please do not reply." Later, my VP told the CEO about her "IT people don't have personal lives" comment. She confirmed she had said it. The CEO came down and yelled at her in person. I don't know if she was fired, but she lost all influence in the company. Main result. Now, any expense over $4,000 must go through an approval process. Bad VP is either gone or on her way out. And no one is pushing back on my proposal to move us back to remote work. You're salaried, just sit through the meeting, okay, but it's gonna cost you. Before I start, every company has that guy. You know who I mean. The one everyone calls when no one else knows what to do. When things completely break and hope is lost, that guy comes in and fixes it. In our company, that was Todd. And Todd had a team, the Elite Troubleshooters. I had just made it onto that team when this story happened. We work in point-of-sale systems, hardware, software, printers, card readers, you name it. I had worked my way up from the call center to Todd's team, becoming a specialist in third-party integrations. Basically, I got our stuff to talk to whatever crazy thing the client dreamed up. I was hourly. When I joined Todd's team, I was told I'd get a salary, but first, a 1-month trial period, still hourly, to prove myself. I was fine with that. Higher hourly rate, new responsibilities, let's go. The big project. One of our biggest clients needed all their stores updated to the latest version of Windows. Each store made $10K/day, so downtime wasn't an option. Updates had to be done overnight 8-hour window max. If an update failed, the store had to be fully rolled back before opening. Our previous best update time? 10 hours. Naturally, they needed that guy. I volunteered. Todd was going on vacation, so I was temporarily reporting to Steve, the support center director. Steve had been my manager before Todd promoted me. The work. I was now working 12-hour overnight shifts, 4 nights a week, leading 2 to 3 techs per shift. I handled the software side, they did hardware. The pay was amazing. First few updates were rough, 40% failure rate due to junky third-party scripts on the client's systems, music, delivery, credit card stuff. But we made progress. The meeting. As things stabilized, Steve scheduled a client meeting right in the middle of my sleep time. Remember, I was doing 12-hour night shifts, plus 1-hour commute each way. After a shift, I had about 10 hours to eat, sleep, and get back. Steve insisted I attend the meeting in person to explain the project's failures, even though I had a backup guy who usually handled meetings for me, because, sleep matters. I told Steve, I'm still hourly. I'm not salaried yet, trial month isn't over. Forcing me to come in off cycle is bad form. He didn't care. You're salaried. You need to be there. Especially if the failures are your fault. At this point I said, fine. Malicious compliance time. The execution. I clocked in at 10 p.m. the night before the meeting. Ran 3 flawless updates, the scripts had finally been fixed. At 6 a.m., the corporate rep told me the meeting would just be a procedural update. No need for me to attend. But I stayed, because Steve demanded it. So I sat around the office for 6 more hours doing nothing. Ate lunch. Napped in my car. Drank more caffeine. At 4 p.m., I went to the top floor for the meeting. Everyone but Steve was shocked to see me. I calmly explained I was there because I was ordered to be. Meeting lasted 30 minutes. New procedures were outlined. I got praised for my work. Client was happy. Steve looked like an idiot for dragging me in. As the meeting ended, I was running on my 3rd or 4th wind, had been awake for over 35 hours at this point. But I still had 1 more night shift to go. I finished the shift, 36 hours awake total. Only caffeine kept me going. Finally, I went home, crashed, and slept like the dead. The aftermath. I woke up to an email asking me to come to HR. When I arrived, the HR director showed me video of me napping on the job. I calmly explained. Steve forced me to attend the meeting. I had already been on shift for 35 plus hours. That 30-minute nap was a paid break, and I needed it to function. I also reminded them. I'm still on hourly pay. I expect to be paid overtime. Todd came back from vacation and ripped Steve a new one. From then on, Steve was banned from managing Todd's team while he was away. Final outcome. Project completed smoothly. I passed my trial period with flying colors. Steve eventually got fired a few months later after pulling a similar stunt on someone else. Side note. A few people asked, no, fixing the client's mess wasn't easy. These integrations are complex. But after years of experience, I know this stuff better than any third-party consultant they throw at it. Work only what's in your job description? No problem, good luck paying people. I work as a warehouse administrator for a construction supply company. My main job: plan inventory counts, enter results into our system, investigate discrepancies between current and previous counts. Simple enough. In reality, it's a bit more complex, but I won't bore you. The problem: if you do this job well for long enough, it gets too easy. When I started, counting just one rack out of 60 took days. Now, I can count the entire warehouse in 3 days, the rest of the time I'd be sitting idle. So to stay busy, I learned our cloud-based ERP system, the one every department uses for everything. Timesheets, HR, payroll, accounting, production, purchasing, shipping, inventory. The ERP has to work flawlessly 24/7. I got so good at it that our VP canceled our $5,000 per month contract with outside ERP consultants because I could handle everything faster, better, and cheaper. These consultants also charged $200/hour if actual problems came up. Meanwhile, I could usually fix issues during my afternoon bathroom break. Did I get a raise or title change? Nope. The company liked the savings and let me handle ERP issues unofficially. I didn't mind, it kept me busy. The incident: a new warehouse manager was hired. One day, a warehouse worker messed up, sent a huge batch of materials to the wrong job site without recording it. We're talking a $500,000 mistake. At the same time, our ERP updated and the payroll module broke. That was a crisis, people couldn't get paid. I prioritized the ERP bug, no payroll equals very bad. The warehouse mistake could wait a couple days, no one would stop working because of it. The ERP bug was huge. It took me 2 full days to fix. I got it working just before payroll deadlines. I went to lunch early to celebrate. Here comes the manager. When I got back, the warehouse manager stormed into my office, raging. His bosses were blaming him for the $500,000 mistake. He demanded to know why I hadn't fixed it yet. I calmly explained. Payroll was broken. I had to fix that first, otherwise no one would get paid. That made him explode even more. "Oh, so you have time to take an early lunch, but not do your actual job," he shouted. I stayed calm. He then ordered me to only do what was explicitly in my job description and leave ERP stuff to people who are competent. His words: "Fine by me." I asked him to send that order in writing. He smugly did. From then on, I stopped touching ERP except for inventory-related tasks. The fallout: less than a week later, HR emailed me. They couldn't run payroll again, ERP bug. I politely replied, "I'm now prohibited from working on ERP issues by the warehouse manager. Please consult the official ERP documentation." Of course, I knew the docs wouldn't help them. Next Friday, payday came. No one got paid. When I arrived at work, it was chaos. I saw 50 warehouse workers walking out the front door. I asked one of them why. "We didn't get paid, not working until we do." Inside, the warehouse manager was panicking, orders piling up, no one to load or ship them. He yelled at me to get out of his office. He was flooded with angry calls from job sites. HR was freaking out, swarming around their computers. I felt bad for the HR manager, she's solid. This wasn't her fault. Then the VP showed up in my office, furious. "Why didn't you fix payroll when HR emailed you?" I calmly showed him the manager's written order. I also explained that I'm not paid enough to do extra work, especially not after that kind of treatment. He was shocked. He rushed off to confront the manager. They argued in his office for hours. Later that day, the VP came back, much calmer. "Would you fix the payroll issue if we made it officially part of your job and increased your pay?" I smiled. "Of course, if it's in writing." He looked sad and desperate. "Please, just sign it." They handed me a new offer. New title: Inventory and ERP Specialist. Officially under the VP now, no longer reporting to the warehouse manager. Big raise. I signed, fixed the payroll bug the same day. It was a simple access rights issue after the ERP update. Aftermath. The VP rehired the expensive consultants to cover themselves, but I knew they'd take weeks to do what I fixed in an hour. Warehouse staff mostly returned, but trust was badly shaken. As for the manager, he got himself in deep trouble. After another similar blow-up later, he was fired. Moral: if you order someone to stick to their job description, be prepared to live with the consequences. Followed my job description exactly, company couldn't pay salaries and panicked. I work as a warehouse admin for a construction company. My main job is to manage inventory and log results into our system. When the numbers don't match, I figure out why. Pretty straightforward. The reality? If you do this job well for long enough, there's not much to do. At first, counting one section of shelves could take days. Now that everything is organized, I can audit the entire warehouse in 3 days. The rest of the time? Pretty slow. So, to stay busy, I started learning our cloud ERP system, the software that runs everything here: time tracking, HR, payroll, accounting, planning, inventory, purchasing, delivery. Everything depends on it running smoothly 24/7. I got good at it. So good that the VP canceled our contract with external ERP consultants because I could do it faster, better, and cheaper. For context, we were paying them $5,000/month just to be on call. If they had to actually fix something, $200 per hour, and they'd take weeks. Meanwhile, I could usually handle those same issues faster than my post-lunch bathroom break. Of course, I didn't get a raise or promotion. But I didn't mind, saved the company money and kept me from being bored. Fast forward a few months. We got a new warehouse manager. And someone on the warehouse team screwed up bad. They shipped $500,000 worth of materials to the wrong job site with zero tracking in the system. Same day, our ERP updated and broke the accounting module. Now payroll couldn't process salaries. I prioritized fixing the ERP issue first. The shipping screw-up was serious, but it wasn't stopping operations. Not being able to pay employees? That's an emergency. It took me a couple days to fix the ERP bugs, but I did it. Crisis averted before payroll deadlines hit. Feeling good, I went to lunch a little early to celebrate. When I came back, the new warehouse manager stormed into my office, furious. Apparently, upper management had chewed him out for the shipping mistake. Since it was his team, he took the blame. He started yelling at me. "Why haven't you fixed the shipping problem? You've got time for an early lunch but not to do your actual job." I calmly explained that I'd been fixing ERP so we could, pay our employees. This made him angrier. He shouted, "Then stop messing with the ERP stuff. Do what's in your job description. Leave that tech crap to someone competent." Since he was technically my manager, I asked him to please send that directive in writing. He smirked and went back to his office. 5 minutes later, email arrives. Effective immediately, you are not authorized to perform any ERP-related tasks outside of direct inventory duties. Okay. You got it, boss. Less than a week later, email from HR. ERP bug preventing payroll processing. Can you fix it ASAP? I politely replied. Per directive from my manager, I am no longer authorized to handle ERP issues. Please refer to system documentation. I knew full well that the documentation would be useless. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Couple more days go by. Friday morning, I check my bank account. No paycheck. Guess they didn't fix it. I head to the office, total chaos. Warehouse staff, about 50 people, walking out the front door. I asked one of them what's going on. No paycheck? I'm not working until I get paid. Inside, the warehouse manager is panicking. He's got orders to fill and no one to do the work. He's frantically calling project managers trying to explain why their materials aren't being delivered. HR? Cluster of managers hunched over a computer, all looking desperate. They were trying and failing to fix the ERP issue. Then the VP walks into my office. He asks, "Why didn't you fix this when HR emailed you?" I calmly showed him the manager's email. "I'm not allowed to touch ERP anymore, remember?" He looked stunned. "Why the sudden change?" I just pointed to the warehouse manager's directive. You could almost hear the gears turning in the VP's head as everything clicked. Without another word, he marched straight to the warehouse manager's office. They were in there for hours. When the VP came back, he looked much calmer. "Would you be willing to fix this now? And handle ERP tasks officially going forward?" By this point, I'd been enjoying the lighter workload. I replied, "Only if it's added to my official job description with an appropriate raise." VP sighed. "I can't believe this," and walked off. Later that day, mass email. "We've rehired our external ERP consultants to resolve the payroll issue. Salaries will be paid next week, pending system resolution." Okay. Fine by me. Let's see how they do. The warehouse staff mostly agreed to come back, but they weren't happy. And surprise, by next Friday, still no paychecks. Tensions rose. People started talking about quitting. The VP came to my office again with paperwork. "We're promoting you to a new role, inventory and ERP support. You'll report directly to me. Here's your raise." He looked exhausted. "Please, just sign it." The consultants had told him it'd take weeks to resolve the issue. I signed the papers. Fixed the problem that day. It was a simple permissions bug in the payroll module after the ERP update. So yeah, sometimes following your job description exactly works wonders. And if your manager tells you not to do something, get it in writing. Author's note/commentary. I was honestly shocked at how useless those ERP consultants turned out to be. I don't know, maybe the story sounds a little exaggerated, but it really wasn't. The main issue, in my opinion, was that they didn't know our company's specific ERP setup. Sure, they understood the generic software. But our internal processes? The way we'd customized everything? Total mystery to them. When you work inside the system every single day, you know where the bodies are buried. You know what breaks and why. You know how to fix it quickly without needing to dig through 300 pages of documentation. This wasn't some complicated programming issue. It was literally just a permissions problem after the update. If you know the system, it takes minutes. If you don't, you're looking at weeks of trying to figure it out. Frankly, after all this, I did seriously think about becoming an ERP consultant myself. Clearly, they were charging a fortune and couldn't deliver results. Meanwhile, I knew our system inside and out, and fixing real problems was easy for me. Bottom line? Sometimes your internal experts are way more valuable than some expensive outside firm. And no, I'm not going to feel guilty about how I handled it. I wasn't getting paid extra. I had my own bills to pay too. If the company finally decided my skills were worth an official promotion and raise, yeah, I'll take that win. Just follow the job description? No problem, good luck getting payroll out. So I work as a warehouse administrator at a construction company. My job? Planning inventory counts and entering results into the system. If there's a discrepancy between current and previous counts, I'm supposed to investigate why. Of course, the actual job is a bit more complicated than that, but no need to bore you with the details. Here's the thing, if you do this job long enough and do it well, there's less and less work to do. In the beginning, counting just one rack out of 60 used to take me days. Now, with everything organized, I can do the entire warehouse in 3 days flat, and then I usually just sit around bored. To keep myself busy, I started learning our company's ERP system inside and out. Pretty soon, I became the go-to expert. Every department here relies on the ERP. Time tracking, HR, payroll, accounting, procurement, inventory, you name it. It's absolutely critical that this system runs perfectly 24/7. I got so good with it that our VP canceled our contract with the ERP consultants. Why pay $5,000 per month just to have them available, when I could fix the same problems faster, better, and cheaper? For context, those consultants charged $200 an hour for fixes that took weeks. I could knock out the same issues in the time it took me to take a post-lunch bathroom break. Did I get a raise or an official title change? Nope. The company just figured, hey, he can handle this, let's stop paying the consultants. I didn't really mind. It kept me busy and I like saving the company money even if none of it went into my pocket. Now, fast forward a few months. We get a new warehouse manager. And one of the warehouse workers screws up badly. They shipped materials to the wrong job site, with zero record of the shipment. We're talking about a $500,000 mistake. On the same day, our ERP system gets updated and it completely wrecks payroll. No one could process paychecks. I decided to prioritize fixing the payroll bug first because not being able to pay people on time? That's an actual emergency. Meanwhile, the warehouse screw-up was more of a delay, not a showstopper. The ERP bugs were nasty and complicated, but I spent a couple of days working through them and got payroll working again before paychecks were due. Victory! I decided to treat myself to an early lunch. When I got back, the new warehouse manager stormed into my office, absolutely fuming. Turns out, upper management had just reamed him out over the shipping mistake and he was looking for someone to blame. He starts screaming at me. Why haven't you fixed the inventory issue yet? Why were you off having lunch early when there's work to be done? I calmly explained that I'd been fixing the ERP problem first since it was a higher priority. This just made him angrier. He shouts, "Oh, so you have time for long lunches, but not to do your actual job?" Now I was getting pissed, but I kept my cool. Then he drops this gem. "You're going to do exactly what's in your job description from now on. Nothing else. Leave the ERP crap to someone competent enough to handle it." His words, not mine. I asked him to send that directive to me in writing. He smirked and went back to his office. 5 minutes later, ding. An email. "I hereby instruct you not to perform any ERP work unless it directly involves inventory." Okay, boss. From that moment on, I did inventory only. And I knew exactly what would happen next. Within a week, boom. I get an email from HR. "Something's wrong with payroll. We can't process paychecks." I replied politely. "Unfortunately, per my manager's directive, I am not authorized to touch ERP issues outside of inventory. Please consult the system documentation." I knew full well that the documentation wouldn't help them, but hey, not my problem anymore. Fast forward a few more days to Friday morning. I check my bank account, no paycheck. When I get to the office? Total chaos. All 50 warehouse staff are walking out the front door. I stop one of them and ask what's going on. He says, "No paycheck today." I'm not coming back until I get paid. Inside, it's a circus. The warehouse manager is panicking. Orders aren't getting shipped. Supervisors are demanding answers. HR? They're freaking out. They've got managers huddled around a computer trying to figure out the payroll issue, completely lost. I felt bad for the HR manager. She's been here forever, and this wasn't her fault. Then the VP walks into my office, looking very unhappy. Why didn't you fix the payroll problem? He demands. I calmly show him the warehouse manager's email, instructing me not to touch ERP except for inventory. The VP's face goes blank, then furious. He storms out and spends hours in the warehouse manager's office. Later that afternoon, he comes back to me, much calmer. Can you please fix the payroll issue and resume ERP support? He asks politely. By now, I was enjoying my lighter workload and said I would, but only if they officially added ERP support to my job description and gave me a raise. He wasn't thrilled, but he didn't have a choice. A few hours later, I get a formal offer. New title. New pay bump. Reporting directly to the VP. I signed immediately. I fixed the payroll bug that same day. It was literally just a permissions issue after the ERP update. Final thoughts. Some folks asked why the consultants were so useless. Honestly, they didn't know our ERP setup the way I did. When you use a system every day, you understand it inside and out. You know what breaks. You know how to fix it fast. For an outside consultant, they have to learn the whole thing from scratch. This wasn't a complicated bug. It just required someone who knew where to look. And yeah, after this whole mess, I seriously considered becoming an ERP consultant myself. Because clearly, there's money in it and I was already doing the work better than they were. At the end of the day, I don't feel bad about how I handled it. I wasn't getting paid to be a hero. And in the end, I got the title and the raise I deserved.